Hello, my good friends. Welcome to another anime review. And today I'm going to be, well, it should be obvious what I'm going to review today. Yeah, Psycho Pass. It was an anime that was kind of an odd thing with me. I watched, like 1, 2, 3 episodes. Did not watch it for the longest period of time, maybe a few years. And then finally I decided to jump back on and start from where I last stopped. Maybe after episode 3 or 4 or around there. After that, that's when I began to watch the rest of the show. And after that, I finished it. So what can I say after only watching 3 episodes, or 4 maybe, and then jumping back on and just finishing it right after that time skip to watch it? What do I think of the show as a whole now after completing it? Well, that's why you're here. Today I'm going to be reviewing Psycho Pass, a pretty well-known anime during the 2010s. Along with Tokyo Ghoul, along with so many others that came out this decade. Let's go. Set in the future, Japan's society has managed to deal with crime with a new system. The system is able to detect when someone's psychic level is high. Basically, with this weapon used by the police and the detectives, we follow a group, Division 1, and it marks the first day that Akane Tsunemori becomes an inspector. However, she will be watching over an enforcer, which is a group that has been monitored due to their psychic levels being too high. She must watch a man by the name of Shinya Kugami, who was a detective, but for the reasons of his psychic levels being high was due to losing a friend, and also losing himself, and that's how he ended up becoming an enforcer. It will be revealed down the road, trust me. Stuff happens, blah blah blah. We get some details about the characters and why they're doing this and why they're there in the first place, and on top of that, the main character. Why his psychic levels are also, high, but it also all ties into a specific villain in the show. The actions that happen will make Akane do something to prevent a thing like killing a suspect. This is where the start of this rookie's journey begins. And let's just say it will be a challenging ride. The music in here is actually pretty good for, a detective anime in the future. The endings and openings are, they're good, but good night. The second opening is so badass. I don't know, I know the first one's fine and all, but I always liked the awesomeness of the second opening. And, the endings are also fine as well. And the animation for this show is really nice and detailed with its character designs. Now, you might kind of think the character design looks a little, well, maybe for her eyelashes are just a roundabout, but don't let that be the thing that ruins everything, to be honest. I know since Corner had an issue with that, but I gotta say, it's not a big deal. Overall, the animation's really top-notch, design's good, it's really great. It's a very nice quality anime if you think about it for 2012. Now for the characters, most of them are enforcers, while Akane is an inspector, along with this guy. Akane, which I mentioned is the rookie, and as the show progresses, she turns into more of someone that knows what she's doing, and is able to solve problems during investigations. However, while her character grows and learns along the way as a detective, I have to say, sometimes I questioned actions at least one point with her. It's a specific scene where she could have prevented something from happening, though it would have gone past the boundaries of being illegal, which is pretty stupid. Yet the situation would have been understandable, so a bit of an issue there. Yet she's the type of character that we see in her eyes from what it's like to work at the crime investigation department. Then you have Shinya, or Shinya, how do you say it? Why am I even asking you, clone number 1? You're an idiot. Was a former detective or inspector until he ended up losing his psyche due to the past event, due to a friend dying from a specific killer which he couldn't find. He is someone that is pretty much the cool character, which is pretty obvious. But he is someone that is also pretty smart as well in certain aspects of the cases, especially with the villain, how he reads his mind. Though he will also take measures into his own hands, which he's basically the type of cop which kind of goes rogue in a good way, but, you know, under the law, he can't do that. But it's mostly for the hands of justice, or putting down a threat. His interactions with Akane is the main point of the show, with him being an enforcer who is sent to eliminate criminals if their psyche is too high, while she is above him, watching to make sure he doesn't lose his way. Then Division 1, besides these two characters, she gets a full-on flashback of her past, and he gets some aspects of his past, along with him in a sense, because there's a connection between these two guys. I don't want to say too much because it will kind of spoil some details with them. Let's just say you will get a lot of information between the two as the story continues onward in the show, because there's a lot of depth between these two, but it's kind of like a pretty opposite thing when you find out these two characters' relationship. By the way, this guy is also the leader of the division, and he follows the rules by the book. This character, while he's cool and he's intriguing, we don't get enough backstory about him, or enough time to really develop anything with why he's in this division as an enforcer. He's kind of left up as a mystery, to be honest. I did find him interesting, but I wish there could have been more like backflash to flesh him out a little more, and why he's even an enforcer, or what happened in his past. To be honest, these two characters got more depth than he did. Well, she definitely did. A lot. This chick, while she looks into things for the division and does stuff for them, though not much of a backstory either, but there is a thing between these two as well that, you know, it reveals a thing between them, but, you know, there's not much to say about her. She's just the one that helps them with the information and all that stuff, medical stuff, blah blah blah. All in all, I don't mind if we don't get backstories for every character, because sometimes it works where they're still intriguing and it does make them interesting to develop when it comes to the show. But sometimes there are points where you kind of want to at least know a little more about them, because like I said, I still think he's interesting. It's just you're not going to get enough info about why he's an enforcer. He's just an enforcer. He works with them. He's a good friend to them and all that, but that's about it. I will say, Ginoza and Tomomi have some moments that make you think about their past. And Tomomi is like a father figure to Akane and Shinya. Then you have the main villain of the show, who has got to be probably the most sinister, emotionless, and very charming, but also very smart, like Moriarty. Both interesting / messed up character at the same time. Shogo's sinister ways, his motives for what he's doing. He's a character that you read into and you kind of try to process what he's really thinking. He's a character that is read by how he thinks of society in a different way. He's linked to Shinya's past in one specific way when it came to one of his pals getting killed by him. Yes, he believes in the wills of the people and not the control of the new society, by which the system now records how high psyches are. And that's what makes his character as a villain pretty interesting. He thinks people should have the free will, but however, he also is not that great either, because he's hurting innocent people, killing them. So by day's end, you might find him pretty interesting for the specific villain that actually knows what he's talking about in some ways. And as for my enjoyment, I actually enjoyed this anime, even though it was kind of an odd experience for me to jump back years later after only watching 3 or 4 episodes. While I like this futuristic world, the one problem with the anime is that it is a bit slow. While some shows work with this, like I would say Fear the Walking Dead worked well because you know what's going to happen in the Walking Dead universe. You get to see how society was prior to the zombie apocalypse happening. That worked. I feel like Iron-Blooded Orphans worked too, because they had time to develop the characters, and then when the battle scenes happened, they were more rewarding. The other show that didn't really work as well, I mean it was okay but not great, was the first arc of Sword Art Online 2. For this show, it is slow to get to the bigger picture. But as the show progressed, and we got past at least, well, these episodes, Then I was intrigued by it. From the dark detective story to how they'll deal with this nutjob, Shogo. It also questions whether or not you should take justice into your own hands, especially if the system fails. Like in this case, they can't do anything to Shogo. The machine does not read his psyche, and he's getting away with stuff. And I gotta say, when the show progressed to a final point, I saw this plot twist of what really is going on and how everything is all set up in this society. I'll say it was pretty interesting. But that is all I'm going to say. Overall, I liked the show. There were some points that I liked better than others, but I couldn't stop watching it. Even though I ended up taking another hiatus with the show to play Final Fantasy VII, the remake, which that took up my time, and then I finally jumped back on and watched it and finished it. So yeah, another issue with the hiatus, like from the beginning and then near the end.
All things with all people. Of these three different elements, which does he possess the most?
I would say this guy's got all those traits in abundance.
Well, Psycho-Pass. I would say it's an intriguing detective anime. Futuristic detective anime, I would say. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it, even though it was a weird thing with me. In the time skip where I did not watch it for the longest time, and then finally jumped back and finished it. And, you know, I mean, I was intrigued the rest of the way. While I will say some people may find it slow at first to get to, you know, the big picture, but I will say you got to continue to watch it. The more you watch it, the more you don't want to stop watching it. And that's how it went with me. Even though there's some issues where some characters may not have some depth to them, even though I'm okay if specific characters don't all the time, just that some people may have issues with that for specific characters that could be fleshed out. At least most people want fleshed out characters. Then there's a few here that not entirely. With some that will, with most that will definitely have a fleshed character backstory. But yeah, overall, I'd say it's very good. That's how I would rate it. It's very good. Very good. Very good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this anime review. If you like to see more anime reviews, you can go to the anime review section and watch some more animes that I've reviewed. Anyways, peace.
Well, to escape the cops after going to find a dog, which I keep losing dogs. I just want a dog. I decided to get out of the country and go to a foreign country like Japan. Maybe Japan would be more nicer for me to get a dog. So, I decided to go there, into Tokyo. But then, as soon as I found a dog, as soon as I found this cute little dog with weird looking eyes, all of a sudden, riots started happening in the streets. I didn't know what was going on. They were wearing masks, and then these cops, they showed up with these specific weapons. I didn't know what was going on, so I had to hide, but I took the dog with me. Then all of a sudden, one of them saw me. They pointed the gun at me, and it turned into some sort of weird looking thing. It ended up being where it was tracking my emotions. My emotions were so high, I didn't know what to do. I ran so hard. Then the dog jumped out of my hands, and I tried chasing it, but then it disappeared, and I lost the dog, and I had to hide. Even in Japan, with everything going on, the cops were looking for me with these sort of devices that was tracking my emotions, because I just want a dog. And I had a dog in the palm of my hands, but it escaped me. Why? I will find you, little cute dog. This is a nightmare. Come on, Japan, I thought you were better than this. I thought I would be in a better place, like Japan, where I could get a dog. Ah.